For the longest time, I personally procrastinated to improve my Korean language skills. That's because I'm in my 4th year of law school, I have a part-time job, I manage my own YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram channel, I go to the gym every single day, and I try to socialize with friends and family. And squeezing in the time to study Korean seemed impossible. And so in this video, I'll share with you exactly how I went from not studying Korean at all to now spending at least 5 hours every single week on studying Korean. But before we dive into the specific methods, I think it's really important to clarify our own motivation and goals to study a new language. If you're not interested in this part, I put timestamps in the description box below, so feel free to skip around. So why should we learn a new language? Depending on how you personally answer this question, the amount of time you need to spend and your approach to learn the language might differ. But I mainly learn a new language because of 2 reasons. Firstly, if you speak a foreign language, you have the unique advantage of connecting to the strangers on a deeper level. Language knowledge equals cultural knowledge. As someone who speaks 6 different languages, I realized for myself that I have a different personality in each language. So for example, in German, I'm more reserved and direct because Germans tend to be more direct and reserved. Whenever I speak Vietnamese, I'm more funny and outgoing because Vietnamese people tend to be more warm towards strangers and funny. Have you ever experienced this before? You speak to another person in English and you find out that they're from a different country and you happen to speak their native language. Do you see the spark in their eyes when you speak in their respective language? That's the power of speaking different languages. On top of that, knowing another language also opens up new business opportunities. Because my English is very fluent, I connected to a lot of amazing content creators from the US or from the UK. They all told me that I speak like one of them, which is exactly my goal. I use slang that native speakers would normally use as well, which is why they're surprised whenever I tell them that English is actually my 3rd language. Knowing different languages allows me to create content in different languages, giving me a way bigger audience that I can connect to on a daily basis. Now that we clarified our own motivation and goals to study a new language, let's get to the juicy part. I'll share with you exactly step by step how I squeeze in these language lessons every single day in my busy life. Motivation alone is not enough to stay consistent because motivation comes and goes. What we need instead is a system that holds us accountable in a very easy and fun way to follow. I recommend you to grab a pen and paper, and if you want, you can follow along. Actually, I'm very old school when it comes to scheduling my week because I'm not using like an online calendar. Instead, I always do it on pen and paper. Every Sunday, I take 30 minutes to plan out my next week. I'm actually filming this on a Sunday, but if you see this uploading on a Wednesday, don't wonder because every Sunday I will do this. I'll plan out exactly what I have to do for the next week day by day, also including the language lesson. Alright, let's get this started. So Monday, Tuesday, and then very old school, we just like divide this into different tasks. Okay, now that we finished scheduling the fixed part, you can see that, for example, I have specific time allocated to law school from Monday to Friday. I also have specific time allocated to going to the gym every morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Time allocated to going to dinner with my friends, to editing the videos, and so forth. Forgot to put this editing here too. And as you can see, from 4 to like 7, I have a lot of free time left. So before that, from 4 to 5 p.m, I used to watch like Netflix or YouTube in this time period. But instead of just wasting my time binge watching, I decided to allocate this 1 hour to study Korean language every single day. What I do it is that I divide this 1 hour into 2 different parts. So 4 to 5 p.m. The first 10 minutes of this 1 hour that I use for languages is dedicated to vocabulary, to practicing vocabulary using Anki flashcards. If you don't use Anki flashcards yet, I highly recommend it because it's so useful. The other 50 minutes that I have left of this 1 hour practicing languages, I use that to watch YouTube or Netflix, again, just like I did before, but this time with the only difference that I'm focusing on learning Korean. So I would only consume Korean content creators on YouTube or Korean shows, K-dramas on Netflix. This way, I keep having my free time in this 1 hour block from 4 to 5 p.m, but at the same time, I immerse myself with the Korean language. I have time to practice my Korean language. This method is actually part of the lazy learning method I described in one of my earlier viral videos. If you're interested in that video, definitely check out the description box below, or you can click up here. On Saturday in the morning from 8 to 9, I normally create my Anki flashcards for the entire week. That way I can batch create all the Anki flashcards in 1 hour, one day on Saturday. And I would normally write down vocab that I learned from the content creators that I watched on YouTube or on Netflix shows that really interested me and where I think that it's kind of useful to learn. Sunday, 1 p.m. I have speaking practice for at least 1 hour with my Korean tutor that I found on italki. And no, this video is not sponsored by italki yet. I just really enjoy their services because you can find your favorite teacher on there and practice with a native speaker while they give you feedback. You can decide the time slot you want to have a lesson in. So there's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to 1 hour. The price ranges something from $10 to $20 per lesson. I'll link the website in the description box below in case you're interested. How effective is this method actually? Me personally, this method is the most efficient method because it's just a fun way to stay consistent long term. Instead of sitting in front of my boring ass textbook and just pumping in vocabulary into my brain, this way I have free time while immersing myself with the Korean language, and that way I can stay consistent for the long run. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint, something that I always say. But I think in full transparency, this method only makes sense if you're at least A2 level in the respective language you're trying to learn, because that way you already have a basic understanding of the language, and with these methods you can keep deepening the understanding of your language. So if this video helped you out, please consider subscribing to my channel to not miss out on future language videos, and I see you in my next video.